Yo, I am HyphenX, and welcome to the Great Conversation Podcast, where we indulge in healthy dialogue about topics that are important in today's society and culture. We back with another one, y'all. We back with another great conversation with you live here on the LFP network. Looking for production networks, man. Hey guys, I just want to tell you that the Great Conversation Podcast got some based off of the research that I did on my own about the topic today. The Great Conversation Podcast is about to go out of this world. And I'm talking literally. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Guys, go ahead. This is an interactive show. We want you to talk to us. If you're in the comments, you guys know how to go. Go ahead and leave any type of questions or comments. Interact with us. This is an interactive live show. You know, I love the element of surprise. Any question, you know what I'm saying, that you have about this topic, we have someone on today that's going to be able to give you their answer to that. Hear what I said? We have a guest on tonight that's not afraid to have an opinion, and that's what I like. But before we do all that, let's take care of some of the business. I want to think about our last week's show, guys. We talked about coming out the closet. I'm a wrestling fan. Shout out to Dre Moreland. Shout out to Daniel Voigt. Yo, what's up, Jody? That's what you guys can do right there in the comments. Boom. Boom, bang, pow. We'll bring your comment right up here on screen. Let the world know it's Jody Hustles in the building. All right. So last week we talked about coming out the closet. I'm a wrestling fan. We had Dre Moreland. Dre runs everything on the show. We had Daniel Voigt on the show. And man, we had a great conversation. Go back, watch that on the replay right here live, or not live, but right here. Watch the live recap right here on the LFP network. It's right there in the archives. Also, if you're anywhere that you're listening to your podcast at, Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening to it at, man, go ahead and type in the Great Conversation Podcast, and boom, bang, pow, we'll be right there with the Great Conversation. All right. Now, want to thank today's sponsor. Today's sponsor, the Court. Here, let me bring this over here. Court, Kings of the Round Table. This is the same group that has hosted the annual downtown summer celebration, the Gala of the Rocks, for the last 6 years strong. Now they have this Rep and Roll. What is Rep and Roll? Rep and Roll is a community development effort with two main goals: increasing awareness of existing affiliate groups active in the Rockford region. 2, grow roller skating culture in the Rockford region. Now, they have a couple different ways that you can get for how the tickets go, okay? Individual tickets are $25 per guest. That gets you one ticket in. That gets you a skate rental for one. And also food is going to be provided. Okay, that's on a first come, first serve basis. Or, get you and the gang together for 5 or more people. It'll be $20 per guest. That gets you tickets for everybody to get in, skate rental, and also food is provided. But once again, that's on a first come, first serve basis. Okay. Now, businesses, you can come to Rep and Roll. Okay. Rep and Roll. This is about repping your set, repping your business, about repping what you got going on, and roller skating. Okay. So you get admission for 5 guests for this ticket for the sponsorships. Okay. You get 5 tickets for five, skate rental for 5, food for 5, vendor table, brand recognition. Okay, social media sponsorship acknowledgement prior to the event, sponsorship acknowledgement during the event, social media sponsorship acknowledgement after the event. This is the Rep and Roll 21 and Up Jam Skate. It's going to be November 13th from 5 to 8 p.m. at Skate Co. at 3209 North Main Street, Rockford, Illinois. Okay, so that's November 13th, 5 to 8 at Skate Co. That's 3209 North Main Street, Rockford, Illinois. Okay. Now, tickets for your tickets and sponsorship, you can click on the link that's in the comments right now. Go ahead, click that link, get out there and get some skating done. All right. Now that the business is out the way, now that the business is out the way, we're going to be talking today about a whole new world. Welcome to the metaverse. If you're listening to this live right now, man, go ahead, tag a friend, and then have that friend tag a friend, and then tag another friend. Okay? Because we're talking about what you need to know. What's important in today's society and culture. Okay? A whole new world. Welcome to the metaverse. Let me tell you who we got coming on. We have Dave Scurlock, CEO and founder of In Your Face Learning. Now, who is David? David has leveraged his 30 years of corporate sales, marketing, and learning and development experience for Fortune 500 organizations to provide highly interactive training and development programs. This is who we're talking to today about the metaverse. About to bring them on here. Hello, David.
Yeah, good evening.
Hey, David. Thank you so much for coming on to the Great Conversation podcast.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I look forward to sharing some opinions. Like you said, I only have opinions. I am not an authority by any stretch of the imagination, but I have been kind of studying this space for a while, and I think it's a important topic that we talk about today. So again, thanks for having me on your show.
Man, thank you so much for accepting. I'm very happy that you're here. So let's tell the people who you. I know I gave you an intro. I know I gave you an intro, but tell the people who you are.
Okay, yeah, real quick, like you said, I've been around for a while, obviously, but I started in sales and marketing, and I was in the technology space. So as we talk about the metaverse and some of the technology around it, it's always been something that I've been interested in. As a kid, a gamer, that kind of stuff. And so, long story short, I was in sales and then got into actually training and education. So I was doing a lot of training on technology. I worked for IBM and a couple of other companies in the technology space. And so that's really where I kind of married this technology, studying the technology, along with training and education. So when I got off the treadmill or the rat race, if you will, of working in corporate America, I said I really want to take kind of what I've learned, a passion that I have, and honestly, and that's obviously how we met. I'm real passionate about working with our young folks and helping them to understand this technology and how they can engage in it and participate in it, maybe make money in it, make a career in it, and do it in a positive way. So, long story short, passionate about the technology, and particularly where it's going, and then just based on my background, that's where the training and education piece comes from.
Mm. So he knows what he's talking about. I will tell you that. And not only does he know what he's talking about, he's exercising his knowledge, what he knows, and he's putting it into action, into verb form. Now, let's just start simple. Let's start off small, guys. Let's start off small. Because my whole thing, I don't I didn't understand the metaverse for real when they first dropped the news about it. I was like, okay, what are you talking about? What is that? So, what is David? Go ahead and explain to us what is the metaverse.
Very good. So it has been around for a while. I mean, really, you think about the internet, and how the internet first started, and then there became more of this social aspect to it. So, quite frankly, it has been around for a while. And I'll give you a couple of examples that any of you out there that have kids, or maybe even some of you are gamers yourself, you may play Roblox, or you may play Minecraft, or any other fantasy. It could be a any kind of a game where you're socially interacting with other individuals. So it's been around for a while. Now all of a sudden, and I'm going to pick on them a little bit. I'm not necessarily, and we can talk about the good side and the bad side. But here, a couple of years ago, the owner of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, rebranded Facebook, and you heard of the Meta, and so all of a sudden now you hear the Metaverse. And part of it really is a rebranding. It's a well, we had the first of all the internet. It was dial up. Then we had Internet 2.0. Now you're hearing Web 3.0, and that again, you're able to interact. You know, we're doing this right now in a podcast, but if we had on a headset or we were in the meta, we could all be sitting around in a virtual room, if you will. So think of it as something that's already been around for a while. And again, I'll use Roblox. I'll use what's the other one? Minecraft, and the list goes on. And now all of a sudden, instead of it being just social chat and everything that everybody's familiar with in the social media, how do we now make it more engaging where I can walk around, I can have a virtual background, we could have a meeting anywhere in the world if we wanted. So the way I define the metaverse is a social platform that is now what is emerging within the internet itself, if that makes sense at all.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense to us. So now that we got that out the way, we kind of understand that, especially if you have kids or you know kids or kids who know kids, you know about the Roblox world, or uh, even like maybe even you said. Let me know if I'm right or wrong in this assumption, but maybe even so like a Grand Theft Auto, you know what I'm saying, type world, or 2K, you know, playing on the internet social. So am I going around down the right track with that?
Yeah, exactly right. Those are very good examples. Because think of that, Madden football, any of that. You're interacting with other individuals. We could be on the same team playing as Toronto or as whoever, but you're in one part of the country or world. I'm in another part of the country or world. So you're exactly right. Those are great examples of the concept of the meta and kind of how it works. So now what's happening
Okay,
is
awesome.
they're saying, how do we take it and use it in a business environment or in an education environment? And quite frankly, the pandemic had some stuff to do with that. in that all of a sudden everybody's on Zoom and everybody's now trying to do distance learning and e-learning. So now there becomes a heightened awareness of it almost by necessity. Before, hey, we would get out, we'd go to the roller rink and we would do our thing and socialize the way we always did. But all of a sudden, we're all in lockdown for how long? And here's how we're interacting. Well, how do we make it even more interactive? Well, here comes the meta, and now we can have a club. We can go into a virtual roller rink. Maybe not exactly the same, but imagine that, if you will, that now we're in this roller rink and we're doing what we do in the roller rink, but you might be in your living room, I'm in my office, and we're still socializing, but we're doing it in a different way. So I think you gave a very good
Yeah,
example, and just your sponsor tonight and the Kings of the Round Table. Hey, why can't they do that virtually as well as over on North Main Street? Great example.
right, right. I remember and it's so funny how trends like kind of start. You know, I remember when the silent parties became a big thing. Um because everyone kind of seen it like on a Netflix series. I can't remember the series name, but they seen like the silent parties where you have a party and everyone has the headphones and everything, and everyone trying to do that. But what you just said right now about going to having a club in the metaverse, when during my research on this, I use TikTok for a lot of my research. It's entertaining, it's quick, and you can go on to part two if you like. Uh, I was on TikTok and I was watching in this. I believe they're called Black Meta. I believe that's her name, and she was telling us about like how she was like, I be in the club with my girls, and they were in the club taking selfies with one another's avatar, if you will. And then I started seeing the business side of it. Let's go there. What does it mean to have ownership in the metaverse? What does that mean to have
That's a
ownership
very
in the
good
metaverse?
question, and that's one of those where there's a lot of different opinions. Again, so I'm going to give you just what I think, and anyone else is
Okay.
free to disagree, or we can debate it or discuss it. But in reality, I can go into the metaverse and I can create a club, whatever that club may be. Could be a sports club, uh, could be a roller skating, whatever it is. Now, once I have and I've created that. Now, when we talk about that, I can create an avatar. I like the background of your room. I see the grand piano and some other things. I can create the environment that I want, and now I can start inviting people to come. And just like any other business or any other club, are they willing to pay $5? Are they willing to pay $10? It depends on what you're offering and
David,
uh,
that's the part that had me. I didn't understand. How is someone paying? How do you get the consumer to say, here's $10, let me into your virtual club?
well, now there's I- and again, I'm not exactly sure, but there's a couple of ways. It could be a cash app, or now what we
Mhm.
get to talking about are NFTs and bitcoins and the cryptocurrency. Jody just said that. That's right. So now crypto is this digital currency that you use to barter and trade in the meta. So see, you can start to go down the rabbit hole real fast with this. I just left a workshop and to come here, and there was a gentleman talking about crypto, and he was talking about smart contracts and what a smart contract
Hmm.
what was, and I wasn't there long enough to really get into it, but it had something to do with the
Ah,
meta. And how do you and I set up a contract that says we're in business together? And so now all of a
yeah.
sudden, we've got the crypto as the currency, and we've got a way of exchanging that. So yeah, so that's where all of a sudden this is another world that's rapidly evolving. And as Jody's saying, you can buy land. There's fashion, but again, people that are there, they may be willing to invest in that. Now, do you have to take some of your own real dollars, convert it into crypto, and then use that to start bartering and exchanging in the meta? Yeah, but again, you have no guarantee. There's not the
You're right.
so again, and again, I see some comments. You can buy land. So yeah, what is starting to happen? Art, and all of a sudden you'll hear Snoop Dogg has got property, and then all of a sudden Walmart has got property, and McDonald's is. Well, what does that mean? That means
Exactly.
they've created a space. They've gone, and instead of building a physical McDonald's or a physical, you name it, on the corner of State and Main, I'm building it in the metaverse. Now, if there are people that are in that environment, they're going to be willing to barter with you, and so again, when you start talking about the meta, now you, like you said, you're talking social aspect. When you start talking business, well, now you start getting into these smart contracts. Well, what are we using for currency? Well, now you're in the crypto. So I don't know if you can see how complicated and how different it can be. And my whole thing is we need to be involved in that, because
Yeah.
if we're not, we're sitting on the outside again, knocking on the door trying to get in. Now is the time
You took the
to go
words
in
right
and
out my mouth.
stake your claim. I was just talking with someone just tonight that has a craft cocktail business, African American young woman, and so she's developed this, got all kinds of social media around it, and she can great business that's a online business. Her conversation: how do I get that into the meta now? How do I create a social club around people that want to become mixologists? And you don't have to drink liquor. I can show you how to make a great mocktail using grapefruit juice or using healthy juices. So she's already got a business established, gotten funding for it. Now she's saying the next step, if I'm going to grow and I'm going to really blow this up, I've got to figure out how to get into meta and how to take this brand that I've created, this social dynamic that I've created, and now take it into the meta. And people are sitting in the room scratching their head trying to figure that out as we sit here having this conversation right now. It's the wild, wild west. There are no
Tuh.
rules. There are no real regulations. So that's where it can get, I'll just say, ugly in a hurry if you're not careful.
Let's take it. Let's take it there. Let's take it there, guys. This is the Great Conversation Podcast. I am HyphenX. We are live on the LFP network. We are talking about the metaverse. We are talking about the metaverse, a world within a world. And I was so ignorant to the fact. Well, hold on. Let me not just go there. Let's take care of some of the business. Tonight's episode is sponsored by Court, Kings of the Round Table. This is the same group that hosted the annual Downtown Summer Celebration, the Gala of the Rocks, for the last 6 years. They're doing Rep and Roll. Okay. Tickets start out at $25. You guys can click the link that's in the description. Okay. You guys get a lot of little things that come with it, a lot of little perks. Go ahead and get it. It's going to be Sunday, November 13th from 5 to 8 at Skateco, 3209 North Main Street, Rockford, Illinois. Click the link in the description or in the comments and go ahead and purchase those tickets and go ahead and rep your business. Go ahead and rep your organization and go ahead and roller skate, okay? Roller skate. Now, we are talking with David. He has over 30 years of expertise, and he's taking those expertise and he's used them for his own good and for the benefit of the community. And we're talking about a world within a world. And we just talked about pretty much, we kind of went all over. We talked about the social aspect, and then by talking about the social aspect of it, we start talking about, hey, the business side of it, because McDonald's is getting land here. Why is McDonald's getting land here? Why is Walgreens getting land here? Why is Starbucks buying land here? And when you say land, what are you talking about? We're talking about in a digital space, another world. You can go shopping. Tell me if I'm right or wrong about this, because this just hit me. So you're telling me that I can, if Walmart has on my VR headset, go on my avatar, put my groceries in a cart, and then pay a fee and have that delivered to my home.
Yeah,
Concept.
it's not there yet, but yeah, why not?
Wow.
So you make a very good point. There's a difference, and this is an excellent way of describing it. Right now, you go on the Walmart site, right? It's static. You're scrolling. You can look at things. You get descriptions and that. But what you just described is like you're walking through that virtual store. So in essence, you might be able to pick it up, look at it, see it, and like you say, you're doing the shopping. You're putting it in the cart. It's paid for, and it comes to you. Now you did mention the headset, and I'm kind of into the VR headset, but it's interesting because the meta doesn't necessarily have to be in the headset. When you're in the headset, you're totally immersed, but there's a lot of controversy around that. I mean, I can still be in the meta, and you think about it when you're playing, like you mentioned before, uh, uh, any of the sports games, NBA
Oh,
2K, NFL, you're still, in that kind of social environment, so you don't necessarily have to have the headset on to do it. That just makes it that much more immersive. So that's the
oh,
other thing, is that some people think, well, to completely do the metaverse and that, you got to have all these weird looking headsets and look like you're in outer space. And I mean, that does give it a very, very immersive look. I mean, I'll reach right over here on my desk and I can hold it up. As you know, I bring them in and the kids put them on, and that now puts a whole different dimension on it. But what is being developed on the Meta, and here's the power: every mobile device that we have will be capable of doing that. I'll be able to go on the Meta
wow.
and see things in that kind of almost panoramic view right on this device or right on a tablet. So when you get any of your new phones now, the technology for what they call augmented reality, superimposing or doing something in the meta, that technology is already on here. So now it's a matter of
Wow.
how does the social side of it, how does the business side of it catch up with the technology? Technology is already there. I can give you examples that, for example, Walmart and these companies, they're already using it, training their employees. Walmart has that what they call their virtual university. They train all of their employees using the headsets. They did that during the
Wow.
pandemic. Can you imagine how do you train an employee to understand on Black Friday when the doors open and you got 300 people rushing trying to get that $99 TV? The only way you're going to experience is that put on a headset and have that happen. I'm going to give you another
Oh
one
wow.
on the bad side of it. And the CEO of Walmart went on record saying this down in San Antonio when they had the unfortunate situation where the person went in there and they had the shooting. The CEO of Walmart went on record and stated that as a result of the training that we did of our employees, and they did that using headsets and some of that in the meta, they were able to understand what to do to make sure that they excuse me, saved some lives and made a bad situation not worse. So that's why
Wow.
companies like Walmart, McDonald's can train their employees on how to make a perfect shake and how to do all of that. And they'll start doing that inside of the meta. I've seen McDonald's University, and it's a physical campus in Oak Brook. I used to do training there. They can take that, and now you're going to hear this term digital twins. So imagine, if you will,
Whoa.
you've got a university, Morehouse College, and go and look at Morehouse College and the Metaverse. They're leading the nation in this, where they have a digital twin. They have recreated the campus of Morehouse University in the meta. And they have professors that take their students that go in the meta on the campus of Morehouse, and they can interact with people from Egypt, from Africa, from Harvard, from anywhere in the world, and they're sitting right there because they're doing it in a what they call digital twin in the meta. It's already here. The
So okay.
technology is here. It's a matter of how do we socially, culturally, and from a business standpoint get ready to take advantage of it. Because there's folks out there taking advantage of it. They may not look like you and I, and maybe some of the folks that are, I don't know who's all on the podcast, but we need to be in the game, in my opinion, and we need to get our kids in
I
the game in a positive way. So
yeah.
you get me
So
started
let's
and
talk.
get me on the
Let's talk.
soapbox. I'm sorry. You get me
Oh no.
wound up
Hey.
on this.
Hey. I'm about to give you another topic to preach on that soapbox. Now, do you do you believe? It sounds to me that employees, it's a better training tool for employees, which makes better employees. It's a better tool to for education because you say that these people are super smart. Do you believe that this is the wave and this is better society, or would this not better society?
Good question. And I would say both. From an education or a training standpoint, when you're doing things safely, for example, if I'm going to teach someone how to drive a forklift, or they need to learn how to use a fire extinguisher in a emergency situation. They are doing that with firefighters now, EMTs. You can use that to train in a safe environment. You're not going to go necessarily and set the building on fire and then go learn to use the fire extinguisher, but I can do that in a virtual world.
Mm,
We call it a use case. First of all, it's only a tool, just like the internet, just like your phone, just like the computer is a tool. Think of Meta and all of this, if I'm doing it in a virtual world, only as a tool. So I use it depending on the use case. If I'm going to teach someone at Walmart when the doors open and 300 people are rushing you to get that TV, how do I recreate that? I can't. I can do it in virtual reality.
Mm.
So to answer your question, it depends. It's not for everything, but it depends if safety is involved. I'll give you another case, education case, and we hope to do this over at Kiefer where I'm working. Is that some of the young kids need to learn how to do something like dissect a frog, or they want to understand how the heart works or how anything works. Well, if I'm doing that in the meta, I can show them that. They're not going to necessarily want to take
Let,
and
let,
start dissecting a frog or dissecting a cat or a dog, but I can use virtual or the meta to recreate that, and they practice it, practice it, practice it. Surgeons do that. So when they go into the operating room, they've been able to practice it multiple times before they have to go and practice it on you in the surgical suite. So long story. It depends on what you're training. If it's safety, if it's security, it can work. And you're using it only as a tool, as a supplement. It'll never replace. The meta is someone says it is an imaginary world, but it depends on what you're doing in there. If I can learn to play the piano in the metaverse,
mm.
I can learn to I can't learn to roller skate, but there are things I can learn to do better in the meta in virtual first, practice it, get proficient, then when I come out, what you said is true. The learning curve is shorter. In fact, the statistics, people will learn 4 times faster. They will be able to apply it 275% faster than if they just had to read something or show and tell. Especially young kids. They want to see it, they want to do it. I want to touch it, I want to feel it. Well, I can do that
So
using meta and using that. So let me stop for a minute. You can ask me another question.
no, I want to keep going on that because I'm having right now. What's happening right now is I'm so intrigued that I'm thinking about things, and anyone who is a listener of myself, just the podcast in general, it always comes back to us for me. So how can how can we use the metaverse to help socially change the way that we interact with one another, in your opinion?
Ooh, that's a great question. Wow. There's a piece that's missing that somehow we have to get back in because what you said in terms of interacting with one another, that's empathy. We've got to learn to show more empathy. Now, I can do that in the meta and in the virtual. I'm going to give you another example that I was involved in this summer. I did a program at the University of Wisconsin Parkside, and it was on African American history. And they were using the meta to be able to help students understand what it would be like back when we were having the civil rights and everything that we know that our ancestors went through. And they were able to use the meta to help the teachers have empathy to understand what it would be like to be an African American when you couldn't travel. And it was a program called Traveling While Black. You put on the
Mm,
headset, and the young kids at Kiefer Academy where we met, I've had them put that on. Where all of a sudden they're sitting there on the bus listening to Rosa Parks. So that's an
mm,
example of where using it can put you in a time and place that you couldn't be in ordinarily. And there's no way a book or a magazine or even just the internet, the flat internet, is going to give you that empathy, that And that's why I call my company In Your Face. Because when you put this on and all of a sudden you're immersed in it and it's in your face, you're going to have empathy real fast. Real fast. I'm having discussions with law enforcement and ex offenders. How do you take a law enforcement person, have them understand what a young black male feels like when that law enforcement officer is walking up to him? Some of them have no
Hmm.
idea. How does the young black man understand what to do and not to do when a officer or anyone of authority approaches them? There are ways in the
Yeah.
using this technology that it's going to hit you in the face so strong that it's going to show you, help you to have empathy. That's what's going to help us to get along better. I'm going to tell you the problem. I'm going to go on the dark side because I hate it. The Grand Theft Auto. That's showing how not to have empathy. How do I go out there and do, and I'm not going to even go into the game. I hate the game.
Right.
Just there's some people out here that are probably very
No,
good
I
at it, may play it. I hate the game. The same people I'm
no,
looking
I
at.
get
I'm going
what
to
you're
give you
saying.
there was another one, and fortunately somehow they got it pulled off, but they wanted to set one up where you have two choices: go into school to take out the kids, or be the SWAT team to come in and fortunately somehow they would not even allow that game to be released. That's the problem that we have. Now you want the bad side of
Oh,
it,
yeah.
and I've heard this on the Good Morning America show and on the NBC show, taking the kids and just dropping them in the metaverse. That would be like taking your kids, dropping them in Times Square, dropping them in downtown Chicago, in any major metropolitan city, and say, just go up and talk to strangers. They'll show you around. They'll tell you what to do. That can be the dark side of the meta. How do I know that I'm actually talking to you? How do I know, are you male, female? Now, it really doesn't make a difference, but just like people get behind the keyboards and get and get on Twitter and Facebook, and they can get real bold behind the keyboards. That's the problem in the meta if you're not careful. So how do we teach our
Hey,
kids? Create positive images of yourself. Create a positive image. Create a roller skating rink where you can come and show off all your moves. How do we teach them to do that in the meta and not go play Grand Theft Auto, get bored with that, and then go out and start doing it up and down the street? So you can get me started, and I've gotten into some real debates because here's the other problem. You got the big companies that what are they trying to do? They're trying to make the big coin. So what does Zuckerberg want to do? He's got to create the meta. He puts it on TV, and hey, everybody's got to go into Rec Room. Everybody's got to go into the Horizon because that's how they're going to get. That's how he's going to recreate Facebook. But how many of our folks are creating the avatars, are creating the spaces? That's the problem. We're consuming it. We're buying it.
yeah.
We're paying for it. Our kids are not creating it. How do we teach them how to do that in the meta? That's what I get excited
So
about.
so what okay, so let's kind of go to the remedy of that then. So what are the names of the careers that children should be looking towards, or parents should be trying to gear their children towards, so that they can be effective and profitable in the metaverse?
So you can become a creator, creating avatars. Let's say Walmart has something, or let's say you name any of the entertainers. Someone said, the entertainers, Snoop Dogg, name them, any of them that the kids are familiar with. Can they maybe create a virtual something that one of those entertainers says, hey, I want to put that on my site? So they're already in there socially playing the games, consuming it. So how do we teach them you can create it and you want to create a positive image? As you well know, there's you can teach them and they can go in there and make the avatar and they're doing that in the games already. Do I want to be LeBron James or do I want to be you know
Oh yeah.
right? Or do I want I want
Yeah.
my uniform to be this, I want it to be that. Well, why can't I create an African warrior? Why can't I take what we see in the Marvel movies and what they're doing with Black Panther? And why can't the kids start to learn to create those avatars and those animals in the meta? It's
Yeah.
they know how you
I hear
right?
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. So you're saying okay, so you're saying creator, right?
Creator,
It
you're
reminds
asking
me of like
about careers.
it. Yes. It just reminds me of back in the day when a person would be like, what do you want to be when you get older? You know what I'm saying? Or what do you want to do? What do you want to do when you get older? And someone to say, I want to do something with computers. I want to, do computers. Oh, what do you want to do with computers? I want to own my own business. You know what I'm saying? Oh, what kind of business? So when you say creator, what type of education does one have to do that? You like what maybe like some web design or
Yeah,
uh
and again, yeah,
this more of a
I would say
pinpoint.
web design, and again, it's getting to be easier because again, think about it in Roblox and in Minecraft, they're creating things. They're dragging something and
Mm,
they're dropping it. So that's the other thing. They think, well, do you have to be a coder? And you got to sit there and no. Maybe I like music. Well, how many in the metaverse? How many beats are going to be in the metaverse? Let's say you created a roller rink. Someone might be in fashion design, so they want to make the t-shirts. I need to make the music, so we got
mm.
the music bumping in the background. So think about almost any kind of creative thing you would do in the real world. You can become that. We talk to kids about esports. Well, in esports, you may not just be playing the game 2K. Maybe you're the general manager. Maybe you got to do marketing. Just like you started your podcast, you've got sponsors. So there's all kinds of careers that I can do virtually. But yes, a little bit of web design. If they're already playing any of the games where they're dragging and dropping something, or I'm going to move and put the yellow suit on and put the glasses on, now I'm going to take the glasses off. No, I don't like the blue with the yellow zip. I'm going to make it green with the. So just like they're doing, it is becoming that I don't want to say that easy, but it's becoming easier. You don't have to be a computer programmer or know a lot of
Yeah.
sophisticated programs to get started.
It's probably a lot easier than what I'm trying to make it sound out to be because it sounds so crazy to me because I'm not in that type of lifestyle. But you're absolutely right. The kids are already doing it, so it has to be the responsibility of parents and educators and whatnot. I'm sitting over here brainstorming over here, David. I'm over here like, man, if we could really, because like even my children, everyone knows how pro black I am. But even my children in this generation, like being black don't really mean nothing to them. You know what I'm saying? Like it don't really carry no weight. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So to be able to put someone at I'm sitting here thinking about all the things that I watched in my woke stages on YouTube. Man, imagine if I was in the metaverse and I was like actually there listening to Malcolm X or Medgar Evers or in the actual room with Marcus Garvey listening to a speech. Like how
And
different
that
would my
that
life have been? Yeah.
you're exactly right, and that can be done right now. And I'll work with the young folks at Kiefer Academy. they can take a virtual tour through the White House that Barack and Michelle give them. The one that how I even got started with Kiefer, traveling while black. They are sitting there
Mm-hmm.
listening to the stories of what it was like when you couldn't, when you had to know where you could stop for lunch and certain places. And you're exactly right. I don't even believe we can. And then, I mean, I got into a deep discussion with someone once over should we even be teaching that in the high schools? And we don't need to be teaching that. And it's teaching. Well, the problem is, in my opinion, like you were saying, we know the history books haven't been written exactly right, and then some people don't know how to interpret that. But like you said, if I can all of a sudden hear it directly from Dr. Martin Luther King, hear it directly from Marcus Garvey, takes on a whole different dynamic. That goes all the way back. I now have empathy because I'm hearing it from the first person, and I'm sitting and looking around and seeing it. So I think that's
Yeah.
what, and that's where I try to flip the kids. And we've had the conversation when they get in there and they start shooting the gun or they start, duking it out. They're real good at that. But now when I'm trying to get them, okay, I want you to pick this up and I want you to look at this. I want you to sit on this bus and I want you to listen to this story. That's a little more difficult. So that's
Yeah.
where it's incumbent upon, like you were saying, parents, educators. It takes a village to say, hey, let's look at this and how do we participate? How do we make money on it? Because here's the other problem. When you look at the Mark Zuckerbergs, and I was just in a room tonight, they tend to be the young, and I'm going to just use the expression, the young white, the young white males that are the gamers, and
Yeah, the
they're
white folk.
creating, yeah, they're creating that image or that metaverse in only what they know or what they've experienced. So you and I, the kids, we've got to start helping and saying, well, wait a minute, we're going to create our own version of the meta. Why can't we? And now we can start to educate. We can start, and it's starting to happen. What I am starting to see is individuals like Spike Lee, and there are some African American film producers that are starting to do some things in the meta so that we can start to create this community within the meta, whether it's business, whether it's education, or it can be entertainment. How many individuals can be a star in the meta? I used to tell people if they watched that show that was on TV for a short period of time that had the avatars where they couldn't see who they were. They were avatars and they were singing and dancing and Will I Am voted them on. It was fascinating.
Oh
And when they
yeah,
end,
yeah, yeah.
it was only on for a short period of time, but that's an example of what the technology can do. So again,
Wow.
it can it does we talk about business, we can talk about education, we can talk about pure entertainment. It's all going to take place in this world. We're talking about the meta and using, as Jody is saying, using the dollars that can't be traced by the FCC. And again, that's another whole philosophical conversation. All of a sudden now the government is saying, well, we need to monitor this, we need to control this. And part of the meta and part of the whole bit chain was to do just that. No, no, no. We're creating this, and this is a community base. This isn't owned by the man or by the government. So as soon as the government wants to get in and start regulating it, whether it's the cryptocurrency, whether it's freedom of speech inside of the meta,
Yeah, let's
people are
talk
going to resist
about
it.
that. Let's go to the government side. Let's go to the government side of the meta. Like you mentioned earlier in the conversation, it's the wild wild west.
Yep.
It's the Wild Wild West. Like, so do you think that if the government, or what if the meta just created its own government?
Well, see, that's part of it too. That there are cities out there where you create your own city. Again, I'm doing some work at the University of Wisconsin Parkside, and I was talking about the African American project. They've got another one, Smart Cities of the Future. And what is that smart city of the future going to look like? Well, it's going to be a blend. I can do some things in the virtual world. I can do some things in the real world. So it doesn't matter really where I live. I can live in Rockford. I can live in Chicago. I can live anywhere, and I can create my business. Now, at what point does the government start to say, "Well, we've got to control this"? There's freedom of speech, and there's again, that can be a debate. Well, as soon as the government gets in, then there we go again. We'll have the same mess that we've got right now. So do they have their own government? I don't know. That hasn't been figured out
How,
yet.
because the Wild Wild West is always looked at like, when how it's taught. It's like the land of opportunity, a place where you can go and you can start a new life and you can do new things and become who you want to be. I'm reminded of the movie Rango right now, where
Yep.
Rango could be with whoever he wanted to be. And it sounds like this is what the metaverse is. David, how does one get into the metaverse? How do you start?
Well, boy,
Like, how do I start my own world? I want to create my own world in the metaverse.
mm, I there's a couple of different ways, and again, you can you can I call it the Zuckerberg world. You can go that route, the Facebook route, and you can go in there and there's Horizon, there's Rec Room, and they're coming up left and right, uh, where you can go in and you can start to do those kinds of creations. So that's one way to do it. I think the other thing is if you start to look in whether it's on Facebook, these kinds of conversations. I would just start like you did through TikTok, through Googling. What I like to do, I tend to be on LinkedIn a lot because that tends to be more business education. There's all kinds of conversations going on about the metaverse and pros and cons. So that's another way that anyone that wants to learn about it can just jump on, Google it, use whatever it is, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, social media, and you put in metaverse, web 3.0, and you'll start to see chats like this, meetup groups, and that's the way to do it. Because here's the other power I think of the metaverse: community, and the fact that again I call it the wild wild west. But you may have an expertise in your doing podcasts. I have an expertise in using the headset. Somebody else has got an expertise in something else. Well, now the three of us in the meta can take our three expertises and put them together and create something in the meta. So what I'm saying there is don't try to do it alone. Find other individuals that have an interest, learn together and do it that way. One way I started learning, I don't have kids. I've got nieces and nephews. I had them show me Roblox. I had them show me Minecraft. So they're showing me what they're doing in there. I could see the good, I could see the bad. Very creative because they're building houses. They've got some are fairies, some are this, some are that. So they're already there. So now it's a matter of how do we help them to start to create those images in their own likeness and not depend on someone else to do it. So there is a ton of information out there, a ton of conversations every night. I'm going to be on one tomorrow at 12 o'clock, and we're going to be talking about the meta and how it can be used in maker spaces. So that would
What's a
be the
what?
way I
What do you?
would
What,
the way I've been doing it.
when you say maker spaces, what does that mean?
A maker space, and here's how it's kind of moving to the meta. A maker space is if I were doing wood crafting, or I was doing anything. When they say makers, I'm making something. Kids play with
Oh, like a
Legos.
okay, construction
They play
workers,
exactly,
architects. Hmm.
exactly, and so uh, that is becoming or people were doing things using their hands, building things with their hands, and that's what they call the maker space. Well, now all of a sudden, maker spaces are starting to evolve in the meta. So if I'm a woodcrafter, or I know how to build birdhouses, and I'm doing it in my backyard, now I can go into the meta and I can work with someone from Switzerland and see how they build a birdhouse. So the maker spaces or still are these where I go in, everybody comes together, and we build stuff together, whatever it is. Cars.
Hmm.
Somebody might be a hobby of a car, so we're gonna go to a car show and we're gonna take engines apart or whatever. Well, I can do that in the meta. Now all of a sudden I can see people from all over the world and see this guy's Corvette and this guy's Z28 and this guy's Datsun. So those are again examples of things that are currently being done right now. We're all familiar with in the real world, and now I can just flip and expand that world and do it in this meta, in this web 3.0, in the virtual world. A lot of different terms for it, but again, we've been talking about an hour here, and I think you can see that it's all around us. It's very invasive, and it's just a matter of we can start learning. And what's cool about it is this isn't like I'm learning history. This is all new. So we're learning and,
Right,
and figuring it out as we're going.
as
So
we
rather
going.
than
Yeah,
wait till somebody else figures it out, and now I'm knocking on the door saying, "Hey, let me in. Let me try it. Let me see if I." No, 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 no. I want to be in there right now, trying to figure it all out.
man, and I agree with you 125% that this is something that we can. If you ever had a regret on something that, man, I wish I would have done that. Don't let this be another one of those times. Like I don't know why I was drawn to this metaverse thing, but I was drawn to it, but confused by it. But now I'm intrigued and inspired.
Hmm.
Uh, David, before we get out of here, let me ask you this. I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I want to know what you think would be in your mind the very best scenario for the metaverse, and what you would think would be the very worst scenario for the metaverse.
I think the very best is to be able to, from wherever you are, interact with all different cultures, go and visit different places in the meta that you ordinarily may not be able to visit. So I think it can be used in a very positive way in that way. On the other side, just like in society, just think of it as another version of society. If you're not careful, you can get bullied. You can get belittled. You can get taken advantage of. I know there are people that have lost millions of dollars. That's the other thing. Got to be careful. That's the bad side. It's easy for a Tom Brady or a any athlete that you know, a Kanye West, to say, a Snoop Dogg, to say, "Oop, I lost 100,000. Oop, I lost 1 million in the cryptocurrency." For them, that's pocket change. You and I can't afford that. So what I'm saying there, on the negative or the bad side, there's a lot of bad actors out there. So you got to be careful. And so I would not commit dollars. I would not start committing funds. I would just learn as much as I can. I wouldn't pay for someone to teach me the any of that, because just like you said, YouTube, TikTok, conversations just like you're having here, it's all out there. So on that negative side, it's that you're going to have bad actors out there that are going to want to financially, emotionally, or somehow try to bully you or take advantage, just like they do in society. But on the positive side, I can interact, meet people, and see places that I would probably not be able to do as easy as I can in the metaverse. I don't know if that sums it up or if that answered it for you.
Boom, boom, bang, pow. Man, David, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your expertise here on the Great Conversation podcast. Hope to have you on again in the very near future, probably in my in my metaverse. I'm going to figure this out. I'm about to
Hey,
go
well,
create my own world. Check
let's
me
do
out.
it together, because I'll just share with you, and you know the work that I'm doing with the little ones over at the Kiefer. I have this vision of helping them and seeing them start to create in the metaverse, even if it's something as simple as, let's build an avatar, because they're playing the games, they're going and they're doing it. So I think we can. I think we've got an opportunity to see how we can engage our young folks in becoming creators and producers, and benefiting in a positive way from this wild, wild west that we're hearing, the metaverse, Web 3.0, the next version of, whatever this world and society is that our kids are going to have to deal with. So I'm excited about it.
And
Again, thank you for having me on. I've enjoyed this, and yeah, let's keep the conversation going.
most definitely, most definitely. Hey, thank you for all our listeners that listened in, guys. If you're watching this on the playback, man, go ahead and just drop a 2 on that comment, man, so we can defeat that almighty algorithm. And I know once my boy Lamel hear me say that, he gonna crack up because I just love the way he says that. Guys, look out for your boy HyphenX. Not only am I here on the Great Conversation podcast live here on the LFP network, I'm also going to be on a brand new podcast, guys. It's called True View Podcast. And True View Podcast is where we bring the barbershop to the box office. It's like a movie review type show. So check me out over there. I just got added. Well, it's not a new podcast. I'm just new. I just got brought on as another co-host on the show. And man, anybody who knows me knows I love movies. I love movies. I love entertainment. If one thing I did learn a lot when I was coming up, I know how to watch TV. So, and I love to make make good TV. Shout out to our sponsors, Court, the Kings of the Round Table. They have Rep and Roll Sunday, November 13th, at 5 from 5 to 8 at Skate Code. That's 3209 North Main Street, Rockford, Illinois. So get your tickets, guys. Click the link in the description. Click the link in the comments. I am HyphenX. And you know what we love to say here, the great conversation, is that you don't always have to agree to have a great conversation. Peace.
Peace out.
Boom.